In this video we're going to show you a couple of ways of calculating measures of dispersion for different kinds of variables. We're going to go work through the variables the way we did in some of the other videos, looking at our discrete, orderable, and non-orderable measures, and then our continuous measures. Let's go ahead and look at all the measurements we have for dispersion for discrete measures. The example variable I've chosen is religious identity, and you can see that we have coded respondents as being Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, or none, and you can see the associated frequencies and percentages. So there's our nice frequency distribution, and down on the bottom I've shown the frequency histogram. You can see that the largest category is Protestant, that's our modal category, and we discussed that in another video on central tendency. We're going to calculate three measures here. The first will be the variation ratio, then we'll calculate the index of diversity, and finally the index of qualitative variation. That's my personal favorite, and that's the measurement I suggest you use for your discrete measures. I'm going to go ahead and turn off this histogram to give us some space to work. Let's review a formula first. Our variation ratio is equal to 1 minus the frequency of the modal category divided by the total number of cases. So pretty simply, we look in our table and we see that this is going to be equal to 1 minus 916 divided by 1,775, and that is equal to approximately 0.48. Now, what this means is that approximately 48% of the distribution of cases across these religious identities lie outside of the modal category. Our measures of dispersion tell us how cases fall around a measure of central tendency, and in this case our measure of central tendency is the mode. Our next measurement is our index of diversity, or our diversity index. To review the formula, we have D is equal to 1 minus the sum of the proportions in each interval squared. Writing this out, we see that this is equal to 1 minus 0.5161 squared plus 0.2501 squared plus 0.0158 squared plus 0.218 squared, and that this is equal to approximately 0.6. Now, where do these numbers come from? They come from the table at the top. I'm taking the percentages of each interval. So for Protestant, it's 51.61%, and I'm just expressing that as a proportion, 0.5161, and squaring it. And then I'm moving down to the category labeled Catholic, and I'm taking the 25.01% and expressing that as a proportion, or 0.2501. More technically, these are actually, we can treat these as probabilities. And then I square that number, and I do that for the remaining categories, and go ahead and solve with a calculator. Our last measurement is the index of qualitative variation, the IQV. And the formula for that is K over K minus 1, where K is the number of categories. In this case, I've got 4 categories: Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, and none. And I multiply this by the diversity index, which we just calculated. So this is pretty simple. Since I've already done the diversity index, this will be 4 over 3 times approximately 0.6, and that gives me 0.8. I'm going to show you how to do these in a spreadsheet a little bit later. This is certainly simple enough to do by hand, but these are the kinds of things where using a spreadsheet as a big calculator can be quite helpful.